Hey guys, it's Tavin. I just wanted to drop in and talk to you guys about how Connor's audio in this episode is a little messed up. We very clearly, if you're watching the video version of this, you can tell very clearly that we tried out some new things. And because of that, his audio was kind of borked. So just kind of stick with us as we figure out our technical difficulties. I did what I could to kind of fix it, but this is the best I've got. So other than that, enjoy the episode. Appreciate it. Bye.
All right. Well, for this week, we're just going to have to do our best here. So here we go.
Work in progress.
Work in progress, man. We're figuring it out. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 81. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host, Connor Elliott. Say hello to the people, Connor.
Oh, I guess I should wave at the camera.
You wave at the camera, my friend. Hey, we've got visuals this week, finally.
A while.
Only, a year and a half to get us to actually, try a little harder. So here we go. Here we are. I just realized I don't have any audio going into my headphones, but that's fine.
Not good.
It doesn't matter. All right.
But how are you gonna know if we mess up and sound stupid?
I guess I'll figure it out in the edit, Connor. I'll have to figure it out in the edit. So,
hopefully you don't hear white noise.
ladies and gentlemen, we did some audio troubleshooting for like an hour before this. So if it sounds a little fucked up, sorry, we're gonna figure it out next week. But this week, this is what we got. So, if you didn't know, every week, me and Connor sit down and we each come to you with two topics concerning the video game news, or news in the video game industry, rather. We each give you our 2 pennies on it. No, that's not how it is. It's our 2 topics, 2 pennies, and then we give you our 2 cents on it. That's what it is. That's what it's called. And, ladies and gentlemen, if that's not good enough for you, if you want to see some live action gameplay, some raw emotions, some raw feelings, well, go join us over at twitch.tv/2pennygames, where me and my good buddy Phil come to you live every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central Time, and we show each other a game the other one has never played before on a little show we called Hype. Have you ever played? This week, we're continuing our adventures in Spyro 2, my first playthrough of that, and Uncharted 4, his first playthrough of that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this show, the 2 Penny Gamescast, comes to you every Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/2pennygamescast, or mainstream podcast services of your choice, Google, Spotify, Apple Podcast, SoundCloud. We're out there. Please drop a like, drop a follow, subscribe. Please, please, please rate us on audio podcast services such as Spotify and Google and Apple Podcasts, please. It really, really does help. We really do appreciate it. Now, Connor, let's get straight into the news this week. Top of the morning, your first penny of the day, I've decided, because you dropped it into the chat.
Yes.
Sony, this already feels like old news because it happened the day.
I had to have it Monday.
I think it was on Monday that this news dropped. So it's already feeling so old. Sony bought Bungie for $3.6 billion. Sony, this is a games industry business article by Brendan Sinclair. Sony Interactive Entertainment today being last week, announced a deal to acquire Bungie for $3.6 billion, the latest in a string of big-ticket consolidation deals in the games industry. After the deal closes, Bungie will be an independent subsidiary of SIE, run by a board of directors consisting of current CEO and chairman Pete Parsons and the rest of the studio's current management team. Sony has said Bungie will remain in a multi-platform studio with the option to self-publish and reach players wherever they choose to play. At present, the studio is working on maintaining Destiny 2, expanding the Destiny franchise, and working on new IP. Quote, "We've had a strong partnership with Bungie since the inception of the Destiny franchise, and I couldn't be more thrilled to officially welcome the studio to the PlayStation family," said SIE president and CEO Jim Ryan. Quote, "This is an important step in our strategy to expand the reach of PlayStation to a much wider audience. We understand how vital Bungie's community is to the studio and look forward to supporting them as they remain independent and continue to grow. Like Bungie, our community is core to PlayStation's DNA, and our shared passion for the gamer and the builder and building the best place to play will now evolve even further." So, this is interesting.
This came off the back of us speculating about what Sony would do in response to the last big acquisition we heard about, which was Microsoft purchasing I'm blanking on it.
Activision Blizzard.
Activision Blizzard.
There we go.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair,
big deal.
there is no way that this is a response to that because these deals take way too long to nail down and figure out, and the facts and the figures and how things are going to run took way too long. I don't know if it's a response to anything. If anything, it's a response to the Bethesda acquisition from last year. And I remember lots and lots and lots of talk going around the industry for a while now, years even, of Microsoft looking to buy Bungie, but the price was too high for what Bungie wanted, and Bungie wanted to remain independent somehow. So I don't quite understand the actual business details of how this works. My guess was it 2 weeks ago when we talked about Activision Blizzard and Call of Duty staying multi-platform and so forth, is that Xbox didn't care where the game was as long as the Xbox logo was in front of it on whatever screen you wanted to play, whether it was your TV, whether it was your computer, whether it was your Xbox, or even your PlayStation. My guess is this deal with Bungie here is exactly that, where they don't care where you play Destiny from here on out, but that PlayStation Studios logo is going to be in front of it every time you load up that game.
They own it now.
They own it now. So, lots of quotes going around. Oh, Bungie will remain multi-platform. Destiny's going to be still on everything. Yada yada yada, etc. etc. And I do believe that to be true. There's also Bungie has another IP that they're cooking up. I imagine that one's probably going to be exclusive. We'll find out though. Maybe PC and PlayStation 5, but we'll find out.
Depends how generous Sony is going to be.
Exactly. But I think the tides have turned. It is no longer when the Activision Blizzard thing went through, I had made a comment, I believe, about how there's a concern about monopolization in the games industry, and it only makes sense that the two front-running hardware manufacturers are in the head of that race. This, I believe, is the breadcrumbs you will see to where the hardware is just going to matter less and less and less, especially with cloud streaming and all of that coming down the pipeline. Like guys, just be prepared that the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, we might get a PS6, we might get another version of an Xbox, but be prepared that this one or the next one or maybe the one after that is the last box you're going to buy, and then from there, I don't know, it's a USB stick that you insert into your TV or into just any working monitor. And that's
streaming.
Yeah, and then you buy a controller, and then that's just it. That's just all it is, and that's all it really needs to be. Things like the PlayStation VR do make things a little more complicated. You do need actual hardware in your deck for that to work. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, well, why wouldn't we just buy a gaming PC and get an Oculus, and then PlayStation put your stuff on there, or PlayStation make your PSVR compatible with a computer instead of just directly into your PlayStation console. There's a number of different ways that this could go. Who really knows? But Connor, well, actually, let me get how are you feeling about this? How is this acquisition panning out for you?
It is strange to think of Bungie, who created one of the most famous games of all time, Halo, which was an Xbox exclusive, is now no longer making Halo, but now they're owned by Sony, the competitors of Microsoft.
And vice versa, Microsoft now owns some of the biggest IP that started as a PlayStation brand, namely Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that the hands are kind of shifting. Like they're trading deals, trading games,
and so time the river of time wades and bends and turns. You know,
I want to see what a '90s person or early 2000s person would look at this and go and think to themselves, like,
"What the fuck?"
Considering the times it was, they'd probably get angry. Like Microsoft owning Spyro or Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah,
they'd be angry.
It's weird. It's weird. It's a weird time we live in.
The actual deal itself. I always have the fears of monopolization, the negative aspects of monopolization really coming forward. I mean, if it's beneficial for all parties, for the consumers and for the developers themselves, it's kind of hard to put a negative spin on it, but the word monopoly is enough to make it be a little bit uncertain, because we know how monopolies have functioned in the past, and there's a reason why they get broken up by the government. The government barely does anything good, and then they come in and break up monopolies. It's because they have negative effects that nobody wants. So as long as it doesn't go that route, I mean, I'm kind of whatever about it. Obviously, I want more people to be able to play games on whatever system they want. I don't like it being, shut down to PlayStation or PC or Xbox. The more the merrier. So, as always, if it starts going the angle of, well, we're just going to keep it on our system and you can't play it on PC or Xbox, that's just a stupid way to do things. Obviously, business-wise, it makes sense because they want to get the money for that game. They bought it. That's what they want Destiny to be, serving them the most.
Yeah.
But consumers don't really want that. So, as you said, kind of in the same.
It's also
vein,
like Destiny as a live service game. You start talking about microtransactions and cosmetic purchases and just long-term expansion packs and so forth. Like, Sony now gets the majority cut out of all of that. Like, and now they just have to give a measly percentage to Microsoft if somebody is playing on an Xbox, or a percentage to Valve if somebody is playing through Steam. Like, but now they, whereas before they only got a certain amount of cut if someone was playing through PlayStation, now they get all of it. So they're still getting their money back in that specific sense. In fact, now they're getting just so much more because now their cut just increased from, I don't know, 10% to 80.
Yeah.
And they just have to give cuts to the other platform holders who you can launch Destiny 2 on. And in that case, who cares? Because that only grows your profit margin so much wider in the long term. Which again just fascinates me so much more. Because if we move on, there's we pulled a quote from one of their earnings call. I'm looking at a Shinobi tweet right now, just that pulled the quote. This is the first place I saw it happen. PlayStation says they plan to launch 10 live service games by March of 2026. Now, when you really sit back and you think about it, live service as a business model, there's more failures right now than successes. You look around, Destiny's the one. Like, that one, clear above everybody else. Everybody else is just you're kind of lost. I don't know, is there really any other real examples in terms of like that straight up, like, we're trying to be like a bit of an MMO, like full launched its own independent thing. Fortnite, a bit of a thing with the, but it's really just a sort of the life of a battle royale game, along with Apex Legends and Call of Duty Warzone, where that's one game mode. And granted, Fortnite has built upon itself and now has multiple modes, and they put on live events and so forth inside the game, so that's a little bit different. But, people are coming in, they're buying their battle pass, or they're buying whatever individual items they want, and that's it. Whereas, like, Destiny, you have these huge expansion packs, along with individual cosmetic items, along with all these other things that you can pay for. And it's its own living, breathing world with a huge community that you are sitting down and playing with. There's clans, there's this, that, and the third. Fortnite, Apex, Warzone, it's you hop in with your squad, you take out a couple of dudes, and then you either win or you lose, and you go, all right, that was great, and then you move on to the next thing. People live and breathe Destiny. So then you look around and you go, okay, well, what other examples of this model specifically happened in this industry? You got Avengers, kind of a flop. Anthem, super flop.
Division.
The Division is really the only other example that had any amount of success, and arguably Destiny fucking traumatized. Or when you compare apples to apples there, like, it's not really a conversation. Like, Destiny runs the market.
Yeah, Division doesn't really have much stuff coming out even now.
Yeah.
Whereas Destiny, you're always going to wait for that next thing.
Yeah.
And in fact, they're talking about a third game now. If I remember correctly.
Of Division of Destiny?
Of Destiny. I thought they had mentioned that before.
We'll see. I don't know if they need to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to tell with especially now with this acquisition making things even more complicated on top of all of that. But then if you're Sony and you're looking, hey man, people are making money off of this live service thing. But if you look around at everyone else, these are hard to make. They're hard to maintain. They're hard to come out the gate and be a success.
Yeah.
You've really only got 2 examples of success out the gate, and then even then, one is much more successful than the other. Who even knows if we ever get another Division game? I don't think we will. That developer's working on a Star Wars game now. And so hopefully that'll lead to something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Now, but then you look at what Square Enix did with Avengers, which was atrocious and just failed at every step of the way with content maps and planned launches and a consistent, steady drip of content that just never really came. And And then you look at things like Fallout 76, which just from the jump didn't work. Things like Anthem, which, kind of had an okay game loop from some people, but other people thought it wasn't that big of a it wasn't what they were looking for. And then again, the content loop just wasn't there. And arguably Destiny had like a content drip happening, a content map going the first game, but it didn't really take off until The Taken King, which was I think a year later.
Yeah, and then it was just uphill from there.
But Destiny 2 more or less dropped and has kind of been killing it ever since. Sure, there were moments where the community's upset with this, that, and the third, some kind of change, but those are people who live and breathe the thing and are annoyed by the intricate parts of it. So now if you're Sony and you're looking, hey man, we want to get in on this, let's get the guys who are killing it.
Yeah.
Let's go get the guys who are actually doing what everybody likes and everybody wants, and they're doing it right. Let's get them. Let's go have them be our backbone, and we use them as sort of like our way of building from here. And if you really even think about it past that, we know Naughty Dog is hiring for a multiplayer game. We know Insomniac is hiring for a multiplayer game. We know Sucker Punch is hiring for a multiplayer game. Ghost of Tsushima put out their Ghost of Tsushima Legends multiplayer mode, which was it felt like a live service game, just as just a quick content drop, just for shits and giggles, because they wanted to.
And that, if it was developed on more, it could have become a very big player.
We would have played. We were into it. Like, we spent a solid 2-3 weeks playing it. Mm-hmm. So, and we would have kept playing it had there been more to it. And then when the director's cut came out, they put out a content drop, but at that point, we were busy doing other things.
Yeah.
And so forth. But now you look at the roster that Sony has built, and you go, oh, wait, these are really clear, well-defined worlds that, built off of the back of huge single-player, narrative-driven adventures and experiences. So the worlds are all really, really fleshed out. You're going to tell me you wouldn't kind of want to do some type of Last of Us live service game? Mm-hmm. Like, where you're building, maybe you're building on an encampment, you're bringing back supplies, and you're getting better and better equipment. You go out there and you do your little adventures and you come back,
Fight against other squads of thieves that are trying to go for the same treasure.
Exactly. And then you build on them from there. Like Ghost of Tsushima, we saw how that worked, and I would take 60 hours of that. Mm-hmm. That sounds great to me. And then whatever Sucker Punch wants, yeah, sure, whether it's Spider-Man or Ratchet or another one of their IPs coming back.
Wolverine is going to be a live service game.
No.
Choose our own skins of Wolverine.
I would much rather have just Insomniac do their magic on that. Yeah. But you kind of see how you can kind of get the wheel turning and kind of see where this is all going. And with Bungie leading them with that backbone support. I'm gonna adjust this camera real quick because I don't like how I'm looking at the shot. These are parts of the just the stick around people. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I don't know, man. It all just kind of clicks into place for me where I go, oh, this is a chess move. This is a chess move on top of a chess move. Like, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, fine. Bungie wants to keep their independence. Bungie wants to remain multi-platform. That's fine. Bungie's gonna help us build all of these live service games, which are all going to be making all this money, and that you can only get on PlayStation because the fuck no, you're not getting a Naughty Dog game on an Xbox console. Why would you?
No.
Not in this day and age. 10 years from now, maybe. We'll see. That's 10 years from now. Right now, we still very much believe in our isolation, in our premier bougie experience that you get on the PlayStation 5, and that you can only get on the PlayStation 5. So now you have the funding and the finesse and the fidelity of PlayStation Studios matched with the multiplayer infrastructure of a Bungie.
It's a recipe for success.
You would hope so.
Yeah.
You would hope so. Moving on. Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and jump into your second penny of the day. So the government kind of noticed what Microsoft's doing here. Yeah. So Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal will reportedly be reviewed by the FTC. IGN article from Joe Screbbles. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission, FTC, will reportedly be taking the reins on reviewing Microsoft's intended acquisition of Activision Blizzard amid a more aggressive stance from the government agency on big tech mergers. Bloomberg reports that a source pointed to the FTC taking the lead role in investigating the proposed takeover, a job it handles alongside the Justice Department. The role of the review is to determine whether the near $70 billion deal, still blows my mind, could harm consumers, rivals, and partners. On the same day as Microsoft's deal was announced, the Justice Department and FTC announced parts to rewrite merger guidelines, warning that U.S. industries had become increasingly concentrated. FTC Chair Lina Khan said that such concentration could lead to price rises and lower wages. The Wall Street Journal has previously reported that the FTC is particularly concerned with big tech companies like Microsoft, and that Khan has been reframing the argument against major mergers, not just by its traditional effect on consumers and rivals, but to partner companies. For instance, those who are effectively forced to sell through the Apple Store or Amazon's digital storefront. The FTC has recently sued to block two huge mergers, NVIDIA's purchase of ARM and Lockheed Martin's takeover of rocket engine manufacturer Aerojet Rocketdyne Holdings. Whether the FTC has a similar case to be made regarding Microsoft and Activision Blizzard remains to be seen, and a legal expert tells IGN the deal is unlikely to break current antitrust laws. But it seems clear that the deal will be receiving much more scrutiny than Microsoft's acquisition of ZeniMax Media. Kind of something we could have kind of predicted a little bit, because it was such a game changer. Like, it was such a huge thing. Like, it dominated every news site, gaming news site at least, and it even hit mainstream news sites, because it felt like Microsoft bought half the industry. In one swoop. And for $70 billion, that's fucking huge. And when it's something like Call of Duty, that's fucking huge. So it doesn't surprise me that the government is saying, whoa, wait, what are you guys doing over there? But I don't think anything's going to come of it, because
no, as it said in the article, it doesn't seem right now it breaks any antitrust laws. My fear is going down the line when you actually see them acquiring more and more and more. Because this seems like the beginning.
It's a red flag. Is what it is, and that's really all it can be. Is a whoa, okay, wait, you now have how many studios, which has how much standing power and sales and so forth? That's a lot, man, and that's all under one voice, one brain tank, so it's definitely the rising concern, because there was talks about maybe monopolization is something we're heading towards when ZeniMax was acquired, but it can mostly be brushed off. We're like, it's just Bethesda Studios. And imagine saying it's just Bethesda Studios,
It's big, but it's not monopoly threatening. At least at the time it wasn't.
But now that in combination with Activision Blizzard, it seems pretty clear that we're heading that way. And that's really where the conversation gets interesting, where now the government is looking at Microsoft. So how hungry is Microsoft? How much further are they willing to go with this? How many more big studios can they bring in under the fold?
Regardless of how much they try to bring in or do bring in, at least this is an indication that the FTC in the future will be the same with similar deals.
It's them setting precedent of saying, hey man, but we investigated that, we declared that was nothing, but this is too much, so on and so forth. But then the argument gets even messier. Let's say Microsoft now just buys small studio after small studio after small studio and just eats up what was third party, and third party no longer exists because of this back and forth war that we've got going on with acquisitions. I don't understand antitrust law. I'm not a lawyer. Guys, believe it or not, just an idiot who likes...
I swear that I don't know either.
We're just idiots who like talking on the internet. But, like, if you really sit back and you think about it, if I'm Microsoft, I now do small acquisitions. Smaller, like, keep them to single studios, or maybe, just nothing as big as ZeniMax ever again. And then you just use that as your precedent. Yo, we bought ZeniMax. That was nothing. That didn't even come up on your radar. We bought Activision Blizzard. That did come up on your radar, but that was a $70 billion purchase for, what was it, 9 studios? I forget the exact number.
Yeah, it was something along those lines.
And yeah, it raised a flag, but you didn't do anything. So now we're just buying these smaller ones, and individually, you're going to have to fight us on every individual case, because these are all smaller studios. And if this was okay, why is this one not okay? Oh, because we own the other ones? That's kind of ridiculous, and then suddenly everything gets drawn out, and everything is this long race, and everything is this now, lawsuit courtroom, drawn out big things, and it would just be hard to block a Microsoft or a Sony in any type of way from here on out. It's really I don't know. It's interesting. Connor, what do you think the future of the third party is in gaming? Is it going away?
It almost seems like it is, because obviously Microsoft has been acquiring them even before this big deal came.
They've been on a spending spree for years.
Yeah, they have been, and that's where that's the subtle problem, because you can't really point out and say, hey, look, they're monopolizing this industry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, they bought small studio. Name one. They can be just written off and
Double Fine or
Yeah, I struggle to think of one, but
Ninja.
Yeah.
Ninja.
I don't know. I feel like third party will always exist as long as there are people that want to make video games. Like, you'll see more pop up.
But the idea is that now we did have a pretty healthy industry where it was, it was your Activisions, it was your EAs, your Ubisofts, your Bethesda studios, your ZeniMaxes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now Bethesda and Activision Blizzard have been taken off the board. Bungie has now been taken off the board. Insomniac has now been taken off the board. So now it's and then now everyone's looking at Square Enix and Ubisoft and EA, and you go, okay, well, how long until one of the big two cuts you a check?
Yeah,
big enough that you'll say yes. So now, in terms of AAA space, it's just all first party stuff. So you're either indie or you're first party, and that's really it. And there's not going to be that much in between, as there has been, or still kind of is, but is a shrinking pool. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's just, it's almost, it's kind of concerning when you stop and think about it for half a second and where this can go. Because as much as I love the indie space, it just doesn't pull as much attention as the big dogs. And especially when the big dogs are owned by the even bigger dogs, why would they spend any time focused on the little guy? You know what I mean? So now it's like, do you see success from a Fall Guys? Do you see an Among Us ever again? Do you see smaller things like Celeste ever punch through and make it in a big way? Mm-hmm. Who knows? Because it's going to be even harder to find these games than it already is.
Thankfully, though, I do believe that if they were trying to be sneaky with it, I feel like at some point they would kind of just bite the bullet and say, okay, we're tired of buying all these third-party studios, let's buy one of these bigger ones again. And then we can actually have some action on that front. And even if they were to just buy third-party studios, if enough attention and criticism is focused on them, you could see some action from the federal government. But it's a lot less likely. If that's the route they decided to go, it would be far more successful if they're trying to skirt around getting in trouble for building a monopoly. So, once again, it's kind of one of those things you have to see if they actually end up doing something like that. But, can't really say for certain yet.
Once again, lots of wait and sees.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of wait and sees. Connor, let's move on to my first penny of the day.
Yeah.
Something a little interesting. Just a little cap in our hats. I'm pulling a Nibel tweet where he quotes a Famitsu article. Famitsu is an all-Japanese website, and I don't read Japanese. So, we're pulling the tweet. In that, Pokemon Legends Arceus has sold 1.425 million units in Japan during its first 3 days of release. This is the second best first week for a Switch game ever, behind Animal Crossing. First of all, congratulations to the Pokemon team on their success. That's fantastic. They took a risk, and it seems to be paying off.
Yeah. And it's a fresh new idea for Pokemon as well, so it's good to see that they're maybe getting more incentive to do more with Pokemon going down the line.
Exactly, and that's exciting for Pokemon fans everywhere. Mm-hmm. Noted, you can catch our Pokemon Legends Arceus review live right now at youtube.com/2pennygamescast. Our buddy Phil came through. He's been playing it, and he gave us a quick little review for us.
I'd be surprised if he didn't play it.
Yeah. Nah, so go check that out. Go see how he felt on that. All good stuff over there. Yeah, so first of all, this is great news for the Pokemon team. We already discussed that. And you kind of hinted on, especially with a game where they finally shook up the formula, and where Pokemon has been kind of stagnant for years now. It's cool that the moment that they stepped out of their comfort zone and did something a little different, obviously took huge inspirations from Breath of the Wild and so forth.
Yeah.
that they allowed themselves room to experiment, and it's being rewarded for that, which is super super appreciated.
Yep. I know many Pokemon fans, and a lot of either they do one of two things. They don't buy the new games because they think to themselves, they're not that good anymore. They don't do enough to make me want to play them, and they just write them off. And then they're the ones that play it. Something that I usually find is the ones that play it, even though they're big Pokemon fans and they buy it day one release, inevitably they usually say, it's fun. It's a Pokemon game. They never seem excited about it, or like they don't act like it rejuvenated the Pokemon brand. So now that they actually have obviously a success, because Animal Crossing sold a bunch.
Yeah, we don't need to speak on Animal Crossing success.
I mean, when the presidential candidate or president now does
campaign interviews,
wherever
was it Biden or was it? I thought it was Harris.
It was Harris.
It was Harris. Yeah,
but I think Biden did something with it.
Did made a cameo.
Yeah, something like that.
You could go see his house. That some intern built, because there's no way. There's no way 70-plus-year-old Joe Biden is picking up a Nintendo Switch and playing Animal Crossing.
Telling me he doesn't know how to terraform? Doesn't know that? He's Biden. He's the president. He can do what he wants. He knows what to do in every situation.
You're telling me he doesn't know how to terraform? That's the fucking funniest thing. Yeah. So, this is cool. This is cool. Yeah, exactly.
And good job, of course.
Grow, build from here. We're use this as inspiration to really just stretch out and do what you need to do to get it popping. You know what I'm saying?
Let us run a Pokemon fight ring with death.
Well, wait.
We know it happens in the Pokemon world, and there's darker undertones. Go for it.
No, I don't think we need to do that.
Though a horror game actually would be good, because Pokemon fans always talk about how messed up certain Pokemon are.
I think maybe we should. I think maybe we should just put more mechanics in. Let's do mechanics. Let's make it fun.
They did the Dynamax thing.
What if we just
like that?
But Connor, what if we just made a Pokemon game, but fun?
I should buy a DS and play them. The fun ones.
Well, I think also it's worth noting that the success has to do in large part with the Switch. Being a powerful machine, not having to, and we're seeing this with franchises all over: Fire Emblem, Animal Crossing, Smash Brothers, where you no longer have to build two builds, one for your main console and one for your DS, or pick one or the other. Now it's all just one machine. Now, granted, there's a lot of talk about how Pokemon Legends Arceus doesn't look the best, and you're hard pressed to find beautiful games on the Switch to begin with. Yeah. Even the ones that are touted as like gorgeous games, like Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey, I think they are gorgeous, but they're not pushing any type of line. Like they can't do what the first Last of Us was doing on the PlayStation 3. But that sort of art style and that fun, gorgeous use of colors that Nintendo games uses so often is something cool. And it all just being on one piece of hardware, rather, I think is clearly allowing Nintendo to really stretch its wings out and really play around with whatever they want. Metroid is another example of we got Metroid Dread, looks pretty good. It's a pretty good looking game. And it just works on the Switch. So you have it on your TV. You can go out and take it out and play it on the rooftops of San Francisco like they were doing in that trailer. Anyways, so
oh yeah, in the first Twitch trailer, right?
Yeah, man, they were playing on the rooftops. Remember when they playing on the rooftops?
Didn't they get around with the 4 controllers? They take out the things.
Yeah.
I've
actually done that a few times. Not with 4 people, but someone will bust it out. Hey, I got Mario Kart. Oh, cool. Yeah. And then we pull it out and do that. It's fun stuff. Connor.
Yep.
Moving on to our final topic of the day, my final penny of the day. I want to talk about Ghostwire Tokyo. I'm pulling up a gameplay overview trailer that they just put out, about 9 minutes in length. This has been a game that was announced quite a while ago from Bethesda. Later, it was we heard about how it was going to be a PS5 exclusive or a PlayStation 5 exclusive title. So on and so forth. It first launched with a trailer that was like, oh, super spooky. It had that meme of the girl who goes, but this one is spooky, and it was a cute little moment that went viral. Since then, it's clear that they've kind of moved kind of away from the horror routes of it. However, there's still some creepy imagery going on and playing forth in this, but it seems more like a sort of like a first-person action shooter game of some kind.
Yeah.
Akin to almost your BioShocks.
But granted, it has a segment of parts of the game that seem like they're going to be solely horror focused, rather than going around shooting things with bows and superpowers.
Yeah.
But they did definitely make that big shift. Do you think that shift from the gameplay trailer? Do you think the shift was overall positive, or do you think it could have looked better if it had a spookier look to it?
I think it's just what we got is different than what we were expecting off of that first trailer. So if I take my preconceived notions of that first trailer and I put them away and I say, we don't need all of that, and I just look at what they've given us for the last few years, this is interesting to me. This more or less works for me. I'm not looking at a Game of the Year contender here. And it's crazy how little media coverage we've gotten about it. It's about to come out next month. But I guess this is the start of the train here with this big gameplay demo. But I don't know if this game is really going to turn heads like that. But it does look fun. It does look interesting. I do plan on trying it out. Does it grab me and carry me all the way to the end, or make it to where I even actually really love this game? I don't know. I'll be honest. It looks pretty stiff. Yeah. And I kind of don't want it to be stiff. I kind of want it to be fluid and fun. It seems to be pulling a lot of inspirations from games like BioShock, and I kind of wish they went more of a Doom route, and it was faster and more fluid and more action paced. But now it's more plotting, or maybe like inspirations almost from like an Arcane Studios game, like a Dishonored or a Deathloop. So I don't know. There are things in it that do like strike my interest. First of all, I love the art design. I love the design of this world. The style of it, it looks fantastic. I love all the like little things you're doing with your hands when you're shooting out spells and so forth. That all looks great.
The effects of all those spells. I do like the whole. I like how it's not a gun. It's not like some sword or whatever. It's like
pew pew pew.
Yeah, it's cool. And it obviously takes a lot of inspiration from the supernatural or like supernatural stories in Japan. I mean, I've seen like the girl who has like the mask on and her face is really split. I know that's a big Japanese what do you folk tale?
Yeah,
I don't know what you call it, but obviously they took inspiration from those kinds of things, and that does grab me the most. But as you said before, it does seem very stiff. The gameplay doesn't seem like it grabs me. Like I'd be doing crazy things that maybe go, oh shit, that looks so fucking cool. It doesn't do that.
No.
But
I think it's enough to get me in the door, but it's just a matter of how long do I want to stay.
Yeah. Admittedly, I might see what people are saying when it does come out. Like if they're like, it's a pretty fun game, it doesn't really do anything crazy, I probably won't buy it. But even if I hear the story's very good, because it seems like it's going to have a pretty big focus on the plot.
See, really, the narrative part of it did not pull me in any type of way. It was kind of these stealth mechanics and the battle mechanics that were grabbing. Specifically when they go and they grapple up to different buildings, that's when I was like, okay, wait, hold on, what are we doing here? What's going on?
It obviously didn't give enough plot for me to grab onto anything, but if it does end up just surprising people and being a very good one, that'd be a good selling point.
I kind of want it to be hard.
Hard game?
Yeah, I kind of want it to be difficult.
It's looking kind of easy from the gameplay.
And I'm curious if that's just
waves of enemies easy.
the way they're presenting it. Like if you were to demo Dishonored's a hard game, or Dishonored can get hard rather. But like you wouldn't know that demoing it. Like demoing it, you wouldn't show how difficult it can get. Like things can get out of hand quickly in Dishonored.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering if it's kind of that where like this is just the best way they know how to show off the gameplay, so they're just doing this. And in reality, like you have to actually really plan out your attacks. You have to plan out your course of action here.
Yeah, maybe management of how much spells you can cast.
Yeah.
If you run out, you're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah. So
it could be difficult. And that could bring some life to it.
And the parts of the games where it's like, hey, you don't have access to your powers right now.
Yeah.
You got to use this bow and arrow. I imagine those are going to be pretty tough parts. Yeah. I would hope so, at least. I would like this game to be challenging, but we'll have to wait and see. So overall, looks okay. Looks all right. Looks fun. I do wish I just the horror market is one that isn't barren right now by any means. By any means, it's not barren. And these are also the Evil Within guys. So who knows? Maybe we'll get something cool because Evil Within people liked.
Yeah.
I tried the first one, didn't connect with it, so I dipped out and I never gave the second one a shot. But people seem to like the second one even more than the first.
Yeah, that's what I saw as well.
Nobody played the second one. So who knows, man? Maybe we're in for a real treat here. We're gonna find out.
Mm-hmm.
Connor, that is it for our news segment today. So let's go ahead and jump into the fun stuff, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what we've been playing.
Unfortunately for me, no updates.
You've been a little busy.
I've been busy. I've been getting into a new job, and then I
Yeah.
come home, and I'm like, I'm just going to relax and
Yeah.
chill. Though I have continued to play Vampire the Masquerade, I knew going into it that the campaign is relatively short, and you can get through it quickly, but what ended up grabbing me a lot were the side quests. This is... I compare it to the level of quality that the side quests are on. I would compare them in the same area as The Witcher 3. You don't get generic, boring fetch quests or kill quests that have no interesting plot to them.
This is the game from 2004, yeah?
Yes. You have to remember, the gameplay, not that good. Not that good at all. So they compensated for making interesting characters, interesting plots, and though the main overall plot is very interesting and very enticing, and I'm at a point where people are telling me different things, and I'm genuinely confused at, like, where do the lies begin, and where do the truths begin? And it's not even it's not even, like, giving me an answer. It just keeps on giving me more questions and questions. I thought I was going to be encountering the villain and exposing all the bad stuff he's been doing, but I didn't. Really, it just made me more questioning of, is this new information that I was told actually, legit? Or am I just being manipulated and used like a pawn? I don't know. But going back to the side quests, all of them have their own little story, which is what side quests should be. Because I feel like a lot of side quests nowadays, they're fetch quests. They're, go do simple, like, kill these people or save my daughter. And it doesn't really go anything beyond that. You just do the quest, you get the reward, and you move on. It's supposed to gain you more experience so you can be more, perform better in the main campaign, not be held back by the difficulty of the game, so you have upgrades or new weapons, new equipment, or whatever.
Yeah.
And even though the side quests lend to that, it builds on your character. It helps you build your character up more. I get more value out of it besides that instant gratification of, now I can take more damage, or now I can persuade people better. It is very, very good.
Interesting.
It's surprisingly a great game. For 2004, you wouldn't think it'd be as good as it is, but I think you would like it especially, though the gameplay's not.
You lose me there, bro.
Yeah.
Your game has to be fun to play.
It's not boring to play. It's
Okay.
not like, I hate this fucking gameplay. It's just like, it's not the best.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, as a quick side note, has one of the, as far as, it's not a horror game, but it has one of the best horror segments in a non-horror game.
Oh, really?
It is amazingly well done.
That's
Without
interesting.
jump scares either.
Oh.
Really, really good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
That
Okay.
alone would be, like, worth a small game, actually.
Cool.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like last week have been playing the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection.
Continuing.
You can watch Phil Shoemaker, our good buddy, play Uncharted 4: A Thief's End for the first time ever over at twitch.tv/2pennygames Tuesday, 2 p.m. Central Time. So I went through and I finished both Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy.
Quick.
Got the platinum for the collection. Very nice.
What difficulty you play on?
Just normal.
Okay.
Just normal.
Just wanted to go through the
Uncharted's
game
not a game that you need to play on hard.
Mhm.
You're actually doing yourself a disservice if you play that game on harder difficulties. It's just not. It's not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and man, let me tell you, man. I texted you this week.
Yeah.
Uncharted 4, when you get to the table scene near the end. If you played the game, you know what I'm talking about. I don't like the way Amy Hennig left Naughty Dog. I feel like she was probably mistreated. And they kind of pushed her out, and then they took Uncharted, which is her baby, and turned it into something that it kind of isn't.
Still good, but not.
It still kept its core parts of, it's the fun, it's the pulp, it's the pulp adventure, it's the wittiness and the quips and all that, and all the fun action set pieces and so forth. But it's undeniable that Neil Druckmann and Bruce Straley brought a lot of what they learned on The Last of Us to Uncharted 4. And you see it in game design, you see it in narrative design, you see it in moments. But it's, in my opinion, it made a better game for it, man. Because there's just such a clear distinction and difference. Naughty Dog, ever since Uncharted, has always been known for its character work and its stories, even though Uncharted stories aren't great. Last of Us stories are. But Uncharted ones, kind of whatever. But the characters are why we go to Uncharted. And the depths they take their characters to in those 2 games far outweigh anything that happens in the first 3 games. And I'll point to that table scene till the day I die. As it's one of the best scenes in games ever. Like, it's so good. The layers, the levels, the depth of the 2 characters in that scene, and how they're relating to each other and how they're communicating, which just looks. Now, granted, an argument could be made that you couldn't get that level of subtext and that level of depth in character work because the technology wasn't there, and the animation fidelity wasn't there. There's an argument for that. But so you had to put a lot more on the page, and characters had to voice their emotions a little more back in the day. But man, the way those characters, it's so good. It's so good. And then following that up with Lost Legacy, clearly not nearly as good as Uncharted 4. Story's a little more rushed. Villain is super whatever. And the quips not as strong as they have been. But man, Lost Legacy is still a damn good Uncharted game. Still one of the best Uncharted games out there. One, because it has Uncharted 4's gameplay, which is the best in the series. And it plays around with the formula with that sort of open-ish bit in the beginning. That little hub world area in the beginning of the game. That's so fucking dope. And the chase sequences in Lost Legacy are better than any other Uncharted game. Because you remember, Connor, you've never played Lost Legacy, but you have played The Last of Us 2. Remember the chase sequences in The Last of Us 2? How they were so dynamic, and just, like, the flow of it was so crazy, but you always felt like you instinctually were going the right, like it felt good to run away. That started in Lost Legacy. Like, you see the DNA of that in Lost Legacy. There's a few chase sequences where it's clear that there's multiple routes that all kind of lead to the same path. But the way you do it is it just feels so natural and so fluid. And I truly believe without that stepping stone, that knowledge block that they got from Lost Legacy, Last of Us 2 wouldn't mechanically be where it is. Yeah. So that's fantastic. But again, I'll say, like, Naughty Dog, they take performance and character depth further than any other studio on the planet. Hands down. Even Lost Legacy, like, the notes that the character beats that Chloe has far outweigh anything you'll see in any Bethesda RPG. Easy. Like, why is that happening? With the exception of maybe, like, Machine Gun Games Wolfenstein series. They do pretty good character work over there. But they keep it all one tone, whereas Naughty Dog can jump tones. Like, they can, like, this scene is fun, this scene is serious, this scene is dire, this scene is joyous. Everyone else can they can do one tone really well, and then the rest of it, not so well. Specifically, Jedi Fallen Order. Which is another game that I've been playing. I talked about it last week, and I went ahead and I finished my playthrough. Yeah. I got my PS5 Platinum. I already had the PS4 one. I just wanted the PS5 one.
Yep. Now that you can see what games you're playing on PS5 through Discord, I saw you playing that. I said, "Oh, Jedi Last Order. What is?"
Yeah, man, those boss fights are great.
They're good.
Those boss fights are great. The rest of the game is fine. It's fine. Yeah. It works.
There will be some gameplay adjustments for the next game.
Yo, but I'll tell you my camera's stuttering again. That's great.
We're in progress.
Yeah, we're figuring it out, guys.
Yeah.
We're trying.
My mic, if you hadn't noticed, is moving constantly. So I have to hold
is
it
it?
in place. Oh yeah, it's been. I didn't know.
Oh, that's interesting. We have to tighten the bolts.
Yeah.
So, where was I going? Oh, Jedi Fallen Order. Easily the worst Uncharted game ever. But it's fun, man. And I'll tell you, I'm not gonna spend too long on this because we talked about it already. The story beats of what it means to be Jedi, some of the best. Like that arc you go through in the later half of the game, it's really fucking good.
Yeah.
Really fucking good. When you go to the snow planet, and you build, you know what I'm talking about,
Caves.
and then you go back to Dathomir and you fight your first.
Very
Fucking so good.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I remember that mission specifically was.
oh yeah, no, the
gameplay-wise-
mission. But when you get there,
Yeah, that's when it's like it makes up for it.
and then met with my personal favorite boss fight in the game,
That's yeah.
and what it means in the hero's journey of a Jedi, that 3 hours is some of the best damn Star Wars you can have. You know,
It's good. I've said it's always. I'm really super excited for the next game.
I am too.
Yeah.
I believe this is the foundation for a masterpiece of a Star Wars game coming. So,
Yeah, I agree.
fingers crossed. Let's hope. Oh, and then it's worth noting because I was playing on stream. So if you were watching streams, twitch.tv/2pennygames, you would know that I was playing Uncharted. You would know that I was playing Jedi Fallen Order. And you would also know that I loaded up for about 15 minutes Persona 5 Strikers.
Did you? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. You got it for free recently, didn't you? It was on. I know it was on PlayStation Plus for free.
Yes.
Yeah.
That must be how I got it then.
Yeah. For a second, I thought you bought it. And I was like, oh,
It's joyous getting back into that world, talking to those characters. I didn't really get any gameplay in. Lots of talking still. Still doing lots of classic Persona talking.
okay.
Clearly not the A team in terms of writing or pacing, and or just general. Like, I find myself tuning out some lines of dialogue. But it's fun to be back in that world, and it's fun to have new for the little bit of gameplay I got in the beginning. It was cute to have the Persona 5 paint job over a different game.
Yeah.
Which was fun. So, will I return to it? I don't know, because I'm playing Sifu, twitch.tv/2pennygames Monday night.
When's it coming out?
Monday night.
Oh wow.
So Monday night, Tuesday. So I'll be playing Sifu, and you can best believe we're gonna have a review of that game going up as soon as possible. Connor, you playing Sifu with me?
Guess so.
He said, I guess. Oh,
Guess
yeah.
so.
Let's play Sifu, man. So yeah, twitch.tv/2pennygames. We'll be going live, I don't know, shortly before 11 o'clock Central Time. So do the math from wherever you are in the world for that. And then, we're gonna play a couple of hours, and then we'll be live again, twitch.tv/2pennygames Tuesday for some Spyro 2 and some Uncharted 4. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for your 2 Penny Gamescast episode 81. Once again, I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host, Connor Elliott. You can catch the show every Monday, 8 a.m. Central, youtube.com/2pennygamescast, or mainstream podcast services of your choice. Please share it with a friend, rate it, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. It really does help. We really do appreciate it. But until next week, have a great week. Hopefully we'll have technical difficulties figured out. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.